So clearly this research journey has showed us there's a treatment train. And the treatment train looks like this. You can see the picture here in the flow chart. The roof is inoculated by contaminants from the atmosphere. It could be soil, leaves, whatever blows onto the roof or falls onto the roof. But that's not what the contamination of the roof surface is, because some of those debris and contaminants will stay on the roof, they'll survive on the roof, but some will be blown off the roof by wind. Bacteria doesn't like UV light and warmth, so bacteria is killed on the roof by the UV light, by drying processes. Debris falls on the roof but also blows off the roof. So not everything that will possibly contaminate a roof stays on the roof, and not everything that stays on the roof becomes harmful. Then when it rains, some of those things that fall onto the roof are washed into a rainwater tank, but on the way into that rainwater tank, a number of those things actually don't make it in there because of a range of processes, so only some of it. And then only some of the contaminants will be at the point of supply from your rainwater tank, and within the tank and within the storage there's a range of natural processes that are improving the water quality. And then if you're supplying water via a pump, your pump actually eliminates bacteria as well, because most bacteria don't like changes in pressure, and that's exactly what pumps do. And a lot of pumps also come with a filter, so that's part of that process. The changes in temperature, rather than the absolute temperature, from cold in the rainwater tank to a moderate temperature in a domestic hot water service, actually through heat shock processes kills bacteria as well, most of them, as we've seen. You've got a lot of losses there. Then if you get true to the point of human consumption, it can be by ingestion, so drinking, or by inhalation, where you might breathe in aerosols that might have bacteria in it. Most organisms don't get through to that stage. Those that do, one count of anything doesn't make you sick, so you actually have to have an infectious dose. So if you breathe in potentially contaminated water and it doesn't have a high enough level of something harmful in it, it won't make you sick. It's either below or above infectious dose. That's because in your mouth you have acids and a range of other chemical processes going on, organic processes in your throat and in your stomach, and there are natural barriers to these problems. Also through inhalation, through your nose, you've got a range of defence mechanisms as well. So anything that might be harmful, that you might ingest or inhale, has to overcome your human defences. And then there's whether it'll be a mild illness or a severe illness. So as you can see, there's a lot of processes you have to get through to have a harmful outcome from a rainwater treatment train. So there's a lot of processes improving the water along the way. So the first thing that was our most interesting discovery was the rainwater system. The rainwater storage is actually a bioreactor. So I'll talk to the picture first. So on the water surface, there's an area called the water surface microlayer. We thought we discovered it, but we didn't. A medical scientist did in 1907 or 1908. He published in The Lancet, which is a medical journal, about the water surface microlayer. So what actually happens with these layers is they're close to warmth and oxygen, and if you're an engineer, it's a skin friction zone. So debris, various levels of contamination, and bacteria that enter the tank would prefer to stay at that surface and stuck in that surface. On the walls of the tank and on the bottom is a biofilm. On the bottom of the tank we call the biofilm a sludge, but it's actually a complex biofilm. And those biofilms in rainwater, which is a low nutrient environment, are actually very hungry, so they're actually eating metals and other bacteria that enters the system, thereby cleaning the water storage. So the processes that are activated in the rainwater storages are settlement, so contaminants that fall into the system that don't get caught at the surface, settle rapidly to the bottom or the sides. There's flocculation, so particles like debris, for example, are negatively charged. For instance, a soil particle that enters the storage, what negatively charged particles do is attract other particles to them, so they form little clumps, and you can see those on the surface of rainwater storage if you look closely sometimes. So in the mains water system, they're adding alum and a range of other chemicals to make water do that in their treatment plants. Just so happens nature does this in a rainwater harvesting system. Then you get the processes of bioreaction, where the biofilms on the side are actually combining with anything in the water column to incorporate it in a bioreactive process. Then we have competitive exclusion, and this is quite an important issue for microbiology. The natural bacteria in rainwater tanks is harmless, or relatively harmless, soil and environmental bacteria. They're also in mains water systems, but they're not counted. They're very stable and robust, whereas something could be a pathogen that could make you harmful is actually not stable because it's a mutated bacterium, is actually taken out of the system, eaten in the system by the more stable bacteria. That's called competitive exclusion in biology. And then of course the action of biofilms. So that the rainwater storage also has different behaviours at different locations, which we talked about before. I have a slide here on biofilms, and we could spend hours talking about biofilms, but we won't. Basically, the biofilms begin of a single organism on a surface. In rainwater, we know from our research discoveries that's a soil bacteria, usually Bacillus or a Pseudomonas or something like that, and on that builds a complex layer of other bacteria that are attached to it, which is the second drawing, and the bottom drawing shows, and then they join together with sticky substances called polysaccharides, and those core bacteria have pulled in all sorts of other things like metals and soil particles and so on. Because of the sticky substance, they're stuck in the biofilm, so the myth that the sludge will keep resuspending isn't true because of the sticky nature of the polysaccharides in biofilms. So biofilms in the bottom of rainwater tanks, the sludge, are sticky. Research projects like the one at CSIRO use sand and sterile clay particles are not biofilms because they're not made in the same way as a biofilm in a rainwater tank is, where the particles are joined together by sticky substances. So the key concept of a biofilm is the rainwater tank's a low nutrient environment. It has low concentrations of the key nutrients that bacteria and organic substances need to survive. And these systems develop in complexity on the walls and the bottom, and they become very efficient removal of dissolved organics and inorganics. So biofilms form in rainwater tanks. A fellow called Anthony Spinks did his PhD with me and found that, and they form a natural ecology with Craig Evans, a PhD also with me on that issue, and the significant removal of bacteria and metals results from that. So the bacteria and metals will be in the sludge, but they won't be in the water column. And because the sludge is sticky, it stays in the sludge, which is the biofilm at the bottom of the tank. So the best thing you do is not disturb that.